Mike Radich here, and I'm now joined on the phone by MMA veteran Ricky Legere Jr. Ricky, how are you?
I'm doing good, doing real good.
Ricky, you got a fight coming up April 25th at Titan FC 28. How's training been going for the fight?
Training is going really good for me. Great camp right now. Got a lot of good guys rolling through. I'm excited for this fight. It's going to be a big fight. Excited to be with Titan FC, and definitely excited to fight on CBS Sports.
Mm-hmm. Where exactly are you training in preparation for this fight? Because I can't keep track anymore. You've been to a lot of different places, Team Quest, Checkmat BJJ, Rain Training Center, UFC Gym, Millennia. You've been around to many different gyms, so I'm just curious, where are you training in preparation for this fight?
I'm training in preparation at Team Quest. It's now Dan Henderson Athletic Fitness, but it's home at Team Quest. But there we have Checkmat BJJ with guys like Leo Vera and stuff that come in, and Poncho teaches the BJJ. Like I said, that's where my whole camp's been. This one is down there in Temecula.
Mm-hmm. You've been with Team Quest for some time now. I'm just curious, how long have you been training with Team Quest?
I've been there almost 2 years, but a year and a half. Been there, and I tell you what, it's an amazing camp. I've been to a lot of good camps, training with some great teammates. But here at Team Quest, it's like a family. Always got good guys in the room. I mean, phenomenal guys in the room. So I'm excited, and the coaching is by far some of the best.
Mm-hmm. Just curious, why did you decide to start training there?
It was actually a move. I used to live in Corona, right by my work, UFC gym where I work, and I decided to move out to Canyon Lake area, live on a nice lake, be able to do fishing and kind of hang out with the family and be on the lake. And for me, driving all the way back to Rain, which is where I was training there for a little bit, it didn't make sense, the drive. It would have been, almost a 2-hour drive, or right up the way, about 30 minutes away, was Team Quest in Temecula, and that's when I started training with them.
Are you a full-time fighter, or do you have a second job?
No, I have a second job. I actually work at the UFC gym in Corona, and I teach our youth MMA, youth Brazilian Jiu-Jitsu, Muay Thai and wrestling, along with training private clients.
Oh, I see. Well, coming up on April 25th, you're going to be fighting for Titan FC. You've been bouncing around for a while. You fought for Tachi Palace, you fought for Bellator, you fought for Strikeforce. Now you're getting ready to fight for Titan. There's not too many guys floating around right now in the regional circuit who have put together as many wins as you have. I think you're on a 8-fight win streak right now. But for someone who's on an 8-fight win streak like you are, I'm not hearing a lot of buzz about you. I'm not hearing a lot of people talking about you. Usually guys who are on this kind of win streak that you're on, people are talking about, hey, this guy should be in this show or this show, but I'm not really hearing that about you. Do you feel that right now you're flying under the radar?
I do. I feel definitely flying under the radar. Like you said, it's an 8-fight win streak. Of those fights, I think I only have one decision. The rest have all been finishes. But yeah, it is. It's under the radar. I've kind of always been like that. At the beginning of my career, I fought with King of the Cage. It was good because I was always on their billboards and kind of the buzz, but I was still that guy that was under the radar. And I feel the same thing. Here I am on my awesome 8-fight win streak, and it's like I'm flying on the radar. I book a fight and get a contract with Titan FC, and then it looks like I'm able to do a few more interviews and try to get my name out there. But that's the biggest thing, is I need to get my name, my buzz. I mean, I'm a finisher. I'm a guy that's here to fight, and I don't want to fly under the radar no more.
Mm-hmm. Just curious, in the beginning of your career, you fought basically only for King of the Cage. I mean, obviously you had some Gladiator Challenge fights sprinkled in there, but basically you were just with King of the Cage. Was there ever a time in your career that you thought that maybe you were just going to be a King of the Cage lifer?
No, I didn't. That was my goal. I never wanted to be a King of the Cage lifer. I always wanted to move on to the next bigger show. For me, King of the Cage was a local show, and I was able to bring a lot of fans and kind of build a local crowd for me when we were fighting there at San Manuel.
Mm-hmm. Right.
So when I was there, it was exciting, and then it was time to venture off and take the next step, and that's kind of where we started looking at other organizations.
Definitely. Now, you fought once for Strikeforce. I'm just curious, because after that Strikeforce fight, you went onto the Ultimate Fighter. Just curious, why did you decide to go to the Ultimate Fighter rather than just stay with Strikeforce and continue to fight for them?
Strikeforce fought me one time, and we were trying to keep getting fights, and it just seemed like it was always, hey, we got these guys, we got a show. To me, it always seemed like I was that guy that they brought in to get beat. So their guy that they wanted to at that time was Chris Spang, was the guy that they were trying to hype up, and I came out there and I felt like I kind of rained on their parade. So I don't know, it kind of put me like under the radar, and I got almost put on the shelf to where I wasn't fighting, and then we got the opportunity to go to the Ultimate Fighter, and that's when we had chose to do that.
Now, on the Ultimate Fighter, you suffered a loss, but it doesn't count against your record because it was an exhibition bout. Does that play any factor, do you think, with the fans? Remembering that stint on the Ultimate Fighter was very brief, and I think this win streak you're on right now has kind of erased that memory a little bit. So, do you think that plays any factor in why you're under the radar?
It could. Like I said, it was definitely brief on there, and I think that with Dana White not saying our fight was exciting, was kind of saying it was boring.
Right.
Possibly plays a factor in people's heads that, hey, maybe he's just a boring wrestler that just likes to use ground game. So that's why I've kind of adjusted my game, and I've tried working off a few more stand-ups and working from there. But I do feel that is something that does play in the factor. At the end of the day, everybody's looking for the most exciting fighter. You see the UFC cutting people all day because the fact that they're not exciting, or they might be on their losing streak and then not exciting.
Now, I think you're a guy who has a lot of personality. I love your nickname. I love the pink hair. I love all that stuff. Why do you think that hasn't carried over with some fans? Why do you think you are under the radar? What are some reasons that you've thought about over the last couple years and the last couple of fights that you've had of why more people aren't talking about you?
I think it could be just not enough Main Street fights. Not getting the fights that we want, kind of the fights that are like there in front of us. Like when we fought Tachi Palace, it wasn't a fight we were looking for, but it was the fight we were originally supposed to fight. The opponent backed out, and that was kind of like, hey, we got this fight right now. You want to take it? I'm like, yeah, I'm already ready. So I think that's part of it. And I think with fighting for Titan FC and the CBS Sports and being able to fight a veteran like Todd Moore, I think it's going to definitely help bring my name up.
Now, obviously, you have this deal with Titan, so I don't think it's that big of a deal, but what about Bellator? Obviously, you fought for them because you were a local guy, and they love to stack their undercards with local guys. Was that it? Was that the only reason Bellator brought you on board? Was it just a one-off because you were a local guy, or was there something there that they tried to offer you at the end after you had won that fight? Because there's not a lot of guys out there on the win streak that you are and undefeated in their banner that they're willing to part with. So what was the deal with Bellator?
You know what, I like I said, I still to this day don't know what the deal was. I know we had that fight. I thought we'd definitely be able to fight a lot more, but during that time is when they did the show. They did their Bellator house or whatever that was. And they were like, oh, we don't know where we can put you in the roster, and we have a couple guys here and a couple guys there. We might have to put you on the shelf until the next Pachanga show. And I'm like, man, I can't sit on the shelf for that long. And I think that, that played a factor into it. And again, I think that I was supposed to, lose to that opponent. And I went out there and was like, forget this, I'm going to finish this guy.
Now, you ended up winning 2 fights after the Bellator fight, and then the second win of the 2 fights was in Tachi Palace, and with that win you earned a title fight against Nate Logren. You ended up suffering an injury. Just curious, what exactly was the injury, and how severe was it?
I broke my scapula. Training for my fight, we were 3 weeks out, and we had a couple guys that came in from Rain, and we were training, and I went to shoot. I got a body lock. He overhooked me and lat dropped, and we both landed on my scapula, and I fractured the neck of the scapula right behind all the way behind the glenoid, almost up to my clavicle. It was a pretty bad injury. I was fortunate that it was just the scapula and nothing else.
Mm-hmm. Now, when exactly was that? That was back in November, right?
Yeah, that was in November.
Okay. So, from November till now, when exactly were you healthy to take a fight? Obviously, you're going to be fighting on April 25th, but when exactly were you starting to look for more fights? When exactly were you healthy?
We were starting to look for fights late December, beginning of January, kind of looking. I've got officially cleared towards the end of January from my physical therapist and my doctor with the fracture being healed, and then my physical therapist with my range of movement back, along with the muscle growth in that area that would basically atrophy from being in the sling for so long.
Mm-hmm. Now, when exactly did Titan come into the picture?
Titan came into the picture, I want to say March is when Titan came in the picture. I'm fortunate that Brawl Mall has one of my sponsors that take care of me like crazy. They are, no family and friends of Titan FC, and they were looking for their next card, their next bout. And that was that February 28th card. It was actually February, and that's when I was contacted by their matchmaker, and then I sent everything over to my management company, and then they inked this deal with me with Titan FC. So definitely have to thank Brawl and Ball on that one.
Mm-hmm, mm-hmm. Now, how many fights do you have with Titan?
I have a 4-fight contract with them.
Okay, I see. And now, are you exclusive to Titan, or could you fight if the right fight somewhere else on the regional circuit comes around? Because I think a lot of people are still interested in seeing you fight in Legere at Tachi Palace and go for that belt. So is that something that is possible if Titan will allow it?
You know what? I'm not sure what they would allow. I definitely have to go back and look at my contract and see kind of what they allow. But like I said, I'm excited with this Titan and excited for my fights for them. I know they got a belt getting ready to come up, and it looks like I believe a couple of the 70-pounders that are going to go against the belt are some pretty tough former UFC guys. So I would definitely like to fight one of them too.
Mm-hmm. Now, what do you think they're setting up here? Because obviously Brock Jardine and Daniel Roberts, they're fighting. Matthew Riddle, he fought at 85 on the first Titan show that they did on CBS Sports Network back in February, but he's a 70-pounder at heart. So what do you think they're trying to set up here? Do you think that an impressive performance against Todd Moore could get you a title shot?
I definitely think that like you said, a performance that there is just amazing. Definitely will set me up for either title shot or title contingency. They're building up a well-rounded welterweight class that I'm excited. I mean, you got Riddle, you got Brock Jardine, Pete, who's in it. I mean, there's 4, 5, 6 guys that are UFC caliber.
Mm-hmm. Now, is Titan the best place to be besides the UFC? Because you look at their roster, and you could make the case that some of these guys still should be in the UFC. Matthew Riddle was on a nice streak, and he had some problems, and it was released. And you have Daniel Roberts, who was on a nice streak, but then he lost to Justin Baseman in Nick Diaz's War promotion. But had he won that fight, he would have been in the UFC. So some of these guys, they definitely have the skill set and the talent to be in the UFC, but circumstances have kept them out. Is Titan the best place to be if you're not in the UFC?
I definitely feel it's definitely the best place. They've got, like I said, some of the best fighters out right now that are either going to be in the UFC, soon to be UFC, or former UFC competitors. And I know they base their whole philosophy on, hey, we're that promotion that's going to get you to push you into the UFC. We're that feeder show that's looking to feed the guys in the UFC, and that's what I like about an organization like that.
Mm-hmm. How much does it mean to you to be able to perform on CBS Sports Network? Because that's something that, you fought in big shows, but you've always, the big platform, whether it be Spike TV or Showtime, has always eluded you. How much does it mean to you to finally be able to perform on free TV?
I'm excited for the free TV. It's going to be amazing. Like I said, CBS Sports is in a lot of homes. I have family, friends, coworkers, my clients, my kids in the gym that I train. I mean, they're all excited to see me fight here on my next fight, April 25th. And again, to be on CBS Sports, it's almost in everybody's home, so that's what I like about it.
Mm-hmm, mm-hmm. Now, will your pink hair be making a return?
Yes, my pink hair will be making its return. I am changing up my shorts a little bit, though. But the pink hair will make its return.
Okay, good. Because I was getting worried because the Bellator fight, you went regular on us, and then the Tachi Palace fight, you had like a different shade of hair. So I'm worried. I was really worried, but I'm glad to know.
The Tachi Palace fight was a quick 3-day notice. So I didn't have time to hit the hairdresser.
I figured, but I was still worried. I don't know.
Well,
you never know. Yeah.
Bellator, I don't know, man. I kind of was like, I'm going to go mellow, and I was looking for a different demographic, but I don't know. It's not me. I'm the bright-colored hair guy.
Mm-hmm. Well, they're owned by Viacom. Maybe you thought you were going to go corporate, and maybe that would have given you the leg up.
I was thinking, corporate, look for corporate America, but that's not me. I'm the IE bad boy.
Right.
I'm the guy with the bright-colored hair, bright-colored shorts.
Right. Now, I'm just curious, how did you get that nickname, the IE Bad Boy? Because that was kind of your identity. When you were fighting for King of the Cage, I would always see these trailers, and they wouldn't even say Ricky Legere. They'd just say the IE Bad Boy. Bobby Green's taking on the IE Bad Boy. Like, you were kind of billed just as that. That was kind of, what people knew you by. Where did that nickname come from?
It was when I was growing up. I was always kind of like that rebel kid, the kid that kind of did his own thing. And then when I started training jiu-jitsu at my old gym, they were like, man, you're like a rebel. We should call you the IE Bad Boy. And it just kind of ended up sticking, and that's been kind of the nickname I've brought through and used it time and time. So for me, it's always like, hey, it's a different person when I'm in the cage. It's the IE Bad Boy, and everybody's like, man, how do you do all that? And I tell them, it's that alter ego. It's the IE Bad Boy.
Mm-hmm. Definitely. Your nickname actually inspired my nickname for Brandon Bender. I call him the IE Guido.
Oh, he is definitely a Guido, and that guy's amazing, Brandon Bender. I used to train with him in Slovenia.
Yep. And when I said that, I'm like, I think you should go with the IE Guido, because at the time he was trying to figure out nicknames. Could he be Brandon Bender, #1 contender? I think that has a good ring to it, but I like IE Guido. And he's like, that's funny you mentioned that, because I used to train with Rick Legere. He's the IE Bad Boy, and I'm like, well, that's kind of where I got it from. I took the IE and I added the Guido into it, so it's funny.
Yeah.
Now, you're fighting Todd Moore on April 25th. What are your thoughts about him as an opponent?
He's a great opponent. I'm actually excited to fight him. He's fought some top-level guys. I mean, he fought Jason High. He fought Aoki. He's fought John Alessio. He's got a good group of guys he's fought. He's got a good record, 14-4, I believe, or 14-5, and I like it because he's going to bring the fight to me. He's a southpaw, and he likes to stand and bang, and likes to defend that takedown. So I'm excited. It's going to be a good fight for me.
Mm-hmm. Now, without giving your game plan away or anything, but he seems to not do well when he's being put on his back and when people pressure him. So without giving away the game plan, is that what you're kind of leaning to?
I'm definitely a pressure guy. That's my biggest thing. Is I like pushing the pace. I got cardio for days. And I want to push the fight, push the pace. That's kind of what I've done in all my fights, whether it's me taking guys down constantly or, I like the ground and pound. On top, ground and pound, looking for that finish.
Mm-hmm, mm-hmm. You definitely like to do that. I think that's a great breakdown of your skill set. You like to get the guys to the ground and soften them up, and if they give you something, take a submission, but if not, just continue to pound away. So I think that's a very good breakdown of your skill set. What do you think he's going to look to do against you in this fight? What do you think his camp and his coaches are telling him to do against you in this one?
I'm pretty sure they're going to be defending that takedown like crazy. And they're probably going to try to look to exploit some big punches standing. They probably feel that my stand-up is not as strong or as high caliber as his. So I have a feeling they're going to be pushing a little more big punches, but yet being able to defend that takedown like crazy. And I'm excited for that.
Mm-hmm. Rick, last question. Now that you're going to be performing on CBS Sports Network, is there anything that you're looking to prove, anything that you're looking to showcase, basically in front of an audience that may have never seen you fight before? Is there anything that comes to mind?
You know what? I want to go out there and showcase my style. I definitely want to showcase a little bit of my stand-up. So when these people see me fight, they're like, man, Ricky Legere, the How You Bad Boys, who's this? And they start looking me up and start, finding me on Twitter and finding me on Instagram. That way they can kind of see who I am and the buzz goes. I just need a fight that gets me the buzz, so my name's streaming through all the social media out there.
Mm-hmm, mm-hmm. Well, Rick, I'm very excited for you. I've been watching you for a long time. I'm very happy that Titan's giving you an opportunity to perform on live TV so people can be exposed to you. I think you're a guy who's very exciting. You got the personality. You're on a great win streak. I'm very happy that you're getting this opportunity. But real quick before I let you go, do you have any sponsors you'd like to thank, and is there anything you'd like to say to the fans?
Yes, I definitely want to thank my sponsors, Brawl 'em All. Thank you guys. I want to thank Legere Sports for giving me my gear, On It Supplements. Definitely want to thank my management company at Iridium Sports Agency, and then I want to thank my wife and my kids for having to put up with me all the time. And I mean, sometimes I might be the worst guy in the world to them, because I'm out training my mind somewhere else. But at the end of the day, I love them, and I'm doing it so I can provide a better, a better life for all of us.
Mm-hmm. Rick, thank you for taking the time to talk. I really appreciate it, and best of luck coming up on the 25th.
Thank you, sir.